Hey,
What's up,
Coach. It's
everybody?
Trevor Gross from Hey, Coach. Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com here. You're looking at Mississippi State on Wednesday. They lost their top 4 scorers from last season, but they've got a lot of length. They've got a 7-footer, a couple of 6'11" guys. Even at guard, they're 6'6" and 6'3". Does their size concern you at all, especially with your lack of experience in the front court?
Yeah. Coach Allen does an unbelievable job over there. Always big, strong, physical teams. I think he really recruits to that. And, they defend the basket area extremely well. Shot block Adu inside is a really experienced, outstanding defensive player who I'm sure will be asked to score a little bit more this year. They've got some front court transfers that are eligible that, again, give them even more size. Those are big screening bodies that they run a lot of good action along the baseline and flare screen stuff to free their scores for shots. And their front court size, rebounding. They've always been an outstanding rebounding team, and that goes back to his days at UCLA. You can tell he emphasizes that. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country last year. So that'll be a big piece to what we have to do. We got to block them out, try to limit them to one shot, and see how we can take advantage of that ourselves.
Hey, Coach, it's David Hood with TigerNet. In the year of abnormal, in the year of weird, will it be good to just finally get out on the court, see another team across the way, and just get back to basketball and an actual game and competition?
Yeah, I think so. I think, our guys, we've had 30 some odd practices, which is a lot before you see somebody else. And, it's going to be interesting to see how teams play early in the season. We've all had different, setbacks. And we haven't had exhibitions. We haven't had scrimmages. And so the best you've been able to do is just, play against yourselves. And that's good for a while. And then after a while, it's a little bit more challenging to keep your guys going. So I know everybody's going to be excited about playing Mississippi State, everybody at the tournament. I know our guys are, we're leaving tonight. So hope to have a good practice today, get down there and be ready to go.
Coach Joe Gorcho, WIS in Columbia. When you look at Clyde Trapp, obviously last season he was dealing with the injury and trying to work his way back. Where is he at this year, having the offseason, a more full offseason in this particular case? And where would you assess his game and his mindset going into his senior year?
Well, he's pretty close to 100%. He still has a few days when it's sore and maybe isn't 100% is what I should say, but it's not enough that, he can't go or anything like that. An occasional day where we try to limit a rep or two. But so he's healthy and ready to play. I think he's in a good place mentally. He provides tremendous experience and versatility. He can play all over the court for us on the perimeter. Good passer, decision maker. I think he's going to be an improved shooter. Guy who can guard different people. He can play with a lot of different people. So he gives us just a lot of different ways we can go, and he can play with a lot of different people. He's a really smart player, understands the game, has a great feel for things, sees things. And so that experience is very helpful to our team.
Coach, it's Trevor again. How much are you looking forward to finally getting to see Nick Honor in game action? How has he looked up to this point, and will you split time between Nick and Dawes at the point position?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to play some point guard, and I'm really excited to see Nick play. He's waited a long time. Unfortunately, didn't get the waiver last year, and he gives us another guard with some speed and guy who can make a shot. He's very excited about getting back out there. It's been a while for him, but he's practiced well. He's had a couple of really good scrimmages. We think he's going to be a good player for us, contribute on this team a lot. He and Al together, I think, are a nice 1-2 package at the point guard position. I don't think we'll have a lot of drop off either way. I think you could play either guy as much as you want. It's really been fun to watch those guys compete in practice. They've gotten after each other a lot, and they're going to make each other better because of it. And, and so we're super excited about, what those two guys bring for us in the backcourt and their ability to play, occasionally maybe together and sometimes just, alternating there at the point guard spot.
Brad, Larry, can you elaborate on what those two guys bring on the defensive end and allowing you greater flexibility to really play more of, I guess, a full court game, getting up in people more often?
Just being able to guard a little bit harder, I think, and depth at the point guard position is vital. Obviously, we really didn't have much of that last year with Clyde's, backing up Al and really just not being physically in a very good position to do all the things we wanted him to do. We couldn't extend and couldn't do things, but with those two guys, we can pick up the court if we want to and keep a little bit of pressure on. We can push the pace a little bit more on offense. I think you got fresh people to do that. It's hard for a guy to play, 32 minutes and push tempo and pressure a ball and push tempo on offense. So I'm hoping that we can, get out a little bit, be a little more aggressive. Obviously Mississippi State, is going to really attack us on the boards. And, maybe if we get a rebound, we can get it out and get down there a little bit before they can get back. And so, we're going to have to see, but it's nice to have two guys that both have speed and are healthy and can both guard a point guard and push the pace for us.
I got on the call a few minutes late. Have you updated on Chase Hunter and just sort of where he is right now?
Yeah, he's back practicing and been back for a week or so. Doing fine. A little bit rusty from certainly not being there for 5 weeks. Just kind of working his way back, but is healthy and kind of seems to be playing better every day. And I think we just got to be patient with him as a player. It's just he's a guy that we obviously think is going to be a really good player for us, but he hasn't gotten as much experience. Unfortunately, even with his foot injury, he didn't get to do everything in the summer either. He was really limited this summer, just for us to take care of that thing and try to get him healthy to where he could go 100%. Then he got back for, a couple of weeks is all, and then all of a sudden he breaks his finger. And so it's just kind of been one thing after another with him, unfortunately, but he's back healthy. He's ready to go. And we're excited to see what he does at the tournament.
Coach, it's Trevor again. Of those freshman bigs, Kidd, Hall, and Prosper, how much do you expect those guys to contribute? And is it realistic to think that you'll get much productivity from them, especially early in the season?
Well, I don't know. It's yet to be determined. It depends on, how well they play. We think all three guys are talented and have opportunity. I would say that, I would envision PJ and Omax a little bit ahead of Lynn. Lynn actually came in a little bit behind and then unfortunately suffered a concussion and missed, a week and a half, 2 weeks of practice. So that put him even further behind. He's back now here recently, been back for, I don't know what it is, 3 or 4 days. So, we'll see what he does. We might need him in the Mississippi State game or Purdue game because those guys have great size and depth, and you never know how a game's going to be played with fouls and all those kinds of things. And if he gets in there, he can hold his own. So we'll see. But PJ and Omax are the two guys that have probably been there consistently through practices and understand a little better right now where we are and what we're trying to get done.
Coach Joe Gorcho again. What's your mindset and approach to this season and to each day when you look around the country? There's already several major SEC programs that have had the pause button this week before they can even get the season going. So how do you just approach the season, the mindset, and what's your message to the team, knowing there is uncertainty when it comes to playing games this year?
I don't think you can look very far ahead, and we don't do that generally. Really need to be thankful for the opportunities that you're going to get because we don't know what that means. We've been extremely fortunate in that we've had very, very few cases here and we had them early enough that it really didn't affect our practice time. Obviously that, I've said it makes me extremely nervous because we're vulnerable during the season. And when I turn on the news and watch what's going on and then obviously you've talked about what happens with football teams and now there's a bunch of basketball teams and head coaches and all these people that are suffering setbacks. You know that chances are that it may get you at some point. I've just same message I always have. I talked to our guys right before the weekend, last week, and said, fellas, we're almost to the starting line, but we're not quite there yet. And, we're hoping to get to the starting line and get this thing started. You guys deserve it. We've practiced and worked for months now, and we just got to continue to make good decisions and sacrifices to give ourselves an opportunity to play. And, God willing, it'll happen. And, and then I think what happens after that, when you do suffer a setback, or, then you're going to have to see what you're made of and what you can deal with. And it's going to be challenging. It's going to be really hard, depending on the severity of your setback and how much you're off, and, how much it limits practice and all those kinds of things in terms of running back and getting into things. But, we're trying to keep a really positive attitude. Our guys have been tremendous, great attitudes to work and practice, and really want to play. And so, we're just hoping to get here to the starting line and try to get a couple games in to get started, build some momentum, and really find out about our team. We're still learning so much about our team. We've got a lot of guys that haven't played as much as people think. Jonathan Bear hasn't hardly played at all for Clemson. And so to see what he's going to do and how he does, and Chase Hunter and our freshmen, and just Nick Honor, and we have a lot of question marks that we need to kind of see how guys do. And, we're certainly encouraged by our group, but I think we're a group that's going to have a chance to get better once we gain some experience and find out a little bit better what we do well and what we need to improve.
Brad, Larry again, has there been any talk among you and your ACC brethren about the hope or the possibility of doing daily testing, which I guess could theoretically reduce the impact of contact tracing?
There hasn't been a lot of talk between the coaches about that. I think there has been in a medical advisory group, and I'm not sure that there's enough evidence that daily testing is a lot better than 4 or 5 times a week. And I don't know all the ins and outs of why that is, but I know that that's been mentioned. And it's not like just because you test every day that makes no contact tracing involved. I know it's been talked about. I don't have the answers to all that. We're still testing 3 times a week right now. I've been told we may go to 5 soon. And I guess maybe if you count this week, we'll be testing 5 because we tested again today. We're testing tomorrow. We test Wednesday. We test Thursday every day we play. So, might be 5 or 6 this week. But anyway, that's kind of what I've been hearing. I think I've heard that Duke is testing every day, but I don't know that anybody else in our league is doing that.
Hey, Coach, Pete Hannity. Can you talk more about what PJ Hall has shown so far during preseason practice and how much of an impact he can make in terms of what you want to have that position do for you early on? Yeah,
well, PJ's learning and growing every day. It's a challenging position. I said last week that, that spot you might have to be in the best condition of any person on the court because of all the things you have to do with the physicality of it all, racing down the floor, competing for the rim runs, and then all the defending and setting of ball screens that you do. You're just involved in so much activity. The game has changed where the big guy doesn't stand under the basket hardly at all anymore. He's always moving, and you've got to move. And so getting used to the physicality and how much speed and movement involved there is, I think is a lot for a young big guy. Now, PJ is a bright guy, and he's going to figure it all out. It'll happen sooner rather than later, and that's what we're hoping for. But he's got good hands. He can finish around the rim with either hand. He can make a perimeter shot. He's going to be a really good player here. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be a really good player as he gains experience. I'm anxious to see how he does in live play. There's times we could play he and Amir together. There's times Amir will start. He'll be the backup. We'll just kind of see how it goes game to game. Somewhat how PJ produces and what we need from those positions.
Hey, Coach, it's David again. obviously you'll know more after you play the game, but from what you've seen through these 30-something practices, if you had to detail one strength of this team, one thing maybe that you really like about this group, what would it be?
So far, attitude, energy, and effort. I think those things guys have done it every day. I think we've come with positive attitudes during a challenging time. Guys have come with really good energy and depth, and I think that'll hopefully work to our advantage. And guys have really tried to compete and play hard against one another. The one good thing that this team has been able to do, and not quite as much as not the whole time, because we have had some injuries and guys out, a couple guys out with concussions and broken fingers and sore knees and all that. But we have, since the summer, we have been able to compete against each other and practice more. And I think that's been good for us. I think it's helped us be a little more competitive. It's helped us get better as players. I think that's really important. And so depth and that attitude, energy, and effort, just their attitude and work to come in has been really, really good.
Hey, Coach, it's Zach Wagner with Clemson Sports News. How's John's knee doing, and will he be limited at all this week?
I don't think so. His knee's pretty good. He's been back kind of. I talked a while back. He was back with a brace. The brace is off now, and he's moving around well. So anticipate him being fine, and expect him to have a good season for us. Really, really happy for him, and I know it's been a little bit of a challenging off season for John a little bit. He and Chase both. They haven't probably been able to do as much as we all would have hoped. I think those are two extremely good athletes that we think can take another step in their games, and those guys have really been limited. And so it's been a little bit of a bummer for me as a coach, just because I like those guys so much and I want them to do well, and I think they've got great potential. They've just have been sidelined with some injuries, but they're both coming out of it, and again, anxious to see what they do.
Coach, do you think Hunter Tyson is a guy that took his game, took the next step in his game during the offseason?
Yeah, I think Hunter's, done a really good job. He's a guy that's been healthy, and so he's been able to continue to work in the weight room, practice every day, get out on the court, get extra work in. Very hungry, wants to be a good player. Rebounds pretty well for his size. He's put on weight, so he's gotten a little bit bigger. I just think he's highly motivated, and he's kind of waited his turn. And now as a junior, I think he thinks he can have a little bit bigger role. And there's some days he's played extremely well in practice, and I think he's really benefited from being healthy and just being highly motivated and working. I mean, he's a hardworking guy and a guy who's really consistently been able to go since June. And because of that, his game is developing.